Hey guys, this is a review of Milwaukee's new M12 compact charger and USB power source. This is model number 4859-1201. So this thing works with your M12 heated gear. It's got a 12 volt DC out right here. It's also got a USB port for charging your electronics. And on the top here, the big change from the previous versions, this one has a USB input for charging your M12 batteries with USB power. Alright, so I'm going to compare this new model that charges M12 batteries with this older one that's just a USB converter and a heated jacket converter for the M12 batteries. And then I'll go into specifications on how long this thing took to charge batteries and how much charge I got out of it for charging electronic devices. Alright, so I've got the new M12 charger and USB power source on the left here, and then I've got an older version that came with one of the first generation jackets. This one, the electronic specs on it, and it's only got 1 amp output at the 5 volt USB. This new one has 2.1 amp at 5 volts and then 1.6 amps at 9 volts, which is part of the USB 2.0 quick charge specifications. There's one in between these two that is pretty much the same physical layout as this one, but it offers 2.1 amp charging capability at 5 volts for USB. So this one right here has trouble with big phones and basically any modern phone that requires 2.1 amps to charge it. This one can charge pretty much any USB device that you're going to be powering off of it. And of course, these both offer the 12 volts DC output for charging and running a Milwaukee heated gear jacket. So the physical layout of these is a little bit different. Milwaukee actually slimmed down this newer charger. With the older models, the USB output was out to the side. With this one, it's out to the front. So when it's in your jacket pocket, it's going to be a little bit slimmer, which I really like. You won't be bumping into things on the side. It's just shaving off a little bit more of the bulk right here. It is a little bit longer than the old one, but not much. I'd say probably a ½ inch. And they changed out the buttons a little bit. So you can see that they moved the 12 volt output from the front of this one to the back on this one. And then they put the USB output on the front. The charge status button is the same place basically for both of these. But they moved the 4 charge light indicators from the side here to the top here, which makes sense because you're pushing this button. You want to be looking at the same surface. The charge input for actually charging a USB power source or charging an M12 battery from a USB power source is on the top. It's got a nice rubberized boot to close that up, and it's got a red and green light and the same legend as the Milwaukee chargers. This one doesn't do the 80% charge indication like the quick charger does though, or the rapid charger. Alright, so with an M12 compact battery form factor installed, it's 4 3/4 of an inch long. You can check your charge status by hitting this button on the top, and you can see your LED lights come on. I think I'm wavering between a 3 and a 4. It's kind of in between those two right now. When you plug it in to charge, you'll actually get your charge status from these two LEDs. The red one's a lot brighter than the green one, and sometimes I kind of miss that the green one's lit up. The cable is actually really nice. It's got this, I think it's a nylon braid around the USB cable, and it's got this nice little rubberized bungee that holds it together. I just don't know if it's really worth the extra expense. These little plugs they're like anodized aluminum. I just don't know if it's worth the extra expense of adding this on to the cost of this. I'd rather the charger just came by itself than having this cable. Because Milwaukee sells this cable for $20 by itself with this little wall source, power source. All right, so the important question is how long does this take to charge a M12 battery? And so I used a 2.0 amp hour battery for my testing, and I actually got, the specifications Milwaukee has are under 3 hours. I got under 2.5 hours for my battery. So I plugged it in and then went away and came back a couple different times, and at 2 hours it was not done charging. And then at some point between 2 and 2.5, I came back and it was done. Now, it makes sense that this thing only charges a 22 watt-hour battery in around 2.5 hours, because if you think about it, it's pulling 5 volts at 2 amps or 2.1 amps, so that's around 10 watts. And if you've got 22 watt hours, you know, you're going to be up in 2.2 hour range for charging this, even if you don't have any loss in your charger capability. So I'd say for the input specifications, it's actually pretty impressive that it's achieving the charge rate that quickly. So for the physical limitations of having a USB input, this thing's impressive. If you need a faster charge time, you're just going to have to use a regular full-size charger. Alright, so I covered how long this thing takes to charge an M12 battery, and using it the other way for using an M12 battery to charge a USB device. I found that it was about, the whole system from this battery to the other battery was about 60% efficient. From this battery, if you use, saying it was a 5 volt output at 2 amps, it was about 80% efficient, and the other 20% efficiency was lost probably in converting the 5 volts input to 3.7 volts input for the actual cell phone battery. So this GS4, which is kind of old, has a 2600 milliamp hour battery, so a 2.6 amp hour battery at 3.7 volts. And then this is a 22 watt hour battery, which is 2 amp hours at 12 volts, actually 10.8, because this is a 12 volt max. They round it up to the full charge. When you put it under load, it's 10.8. So doing the comparison between those two, this 2.0 amp hour battery charged my phone completely 1 1/3 times. That was using the phone specifications of, you know, percentage, so it wasn't all in one shot, but I would plug it in, note the charge percent beforehand and note the charge percent afterwards, and then I just kept a log of that as I charged it throughout the course of several days, and it charged it completely 1.3 times. So if you do just straight watt hour capacity from this battery to this battery, it was 60% efficient. Situations this is going to excel in are travel. If you're going somewhere and you want to bring your heated gear with you, but you don't want to bring an M12 charger, because that takes up a lot of space when you pack it. This just fits right in the jacket, and if you bring 1 or 2 batteries, that's not going to take up much extra space at all. Also, if you're in and out of a work truck all day and you wear heated gear, or you have 1 or 2 M12 tools that you always want to keep topped off, this will be great. You can just plug that USB cable right into an adapter in your car and keep this charged. It doesn't take up much space in your vehicle, and when you get in and out, it's easy to plug and unplug this. Alright, let's talk price. Milwaukee is selling this for $50, and that comes with the USB to wall adapter and the power cable as well. They're selling this for $20 by itself. I would love to see this sold for $30 by itself without the cable and wall adapter. I really doubt that's going to happen. I really doubt they'll break it apart from that. But if they did, I would like to see a $40 price point for this. I think it's a pretty good deal at that point, because seriously, who doesn't have a USB cable, a micro USB cable, and a wall adapter for a USB cable? Everyone has one of these, so it's not really necessary to sell it with the kit. So I'd like to see a little bit of cost savings there. They're probably bundling it. So $50, it's kind of pushing it a little bit, but the convenience for charging USB devices on the go and also charging M12 batteries on the go is a big plus. Alright, so hopefully this review is helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments section below. And once again, don't forget to subscribe.